Starbucks and McDonald's, and rarely do we go to a museum.
Isn't that crazy though? Just to think about how many McDonald's and Starbucks we
Starbucks,
see,
yeah,
yet
there's like
there's
one on
more.
every corner.
Yeah, but there's actually more museums. That kind of blew my mind when I found that out.
Tip of the day: expand your mind, not your
Exactly.
stomachs.
Get on that U.S. history, guys.
And our favorite Nintendo enthusiast, Nathan Hodge. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, and I went to a museum one time.
You know what? I wish they had like gaming museums here in Orlando. That'd be dope.
Oh, they do need to have that.
Yeah, we should do something about that actually. Um, and on that note, I think we'll start the week off with our top news. This week was full of uh, plenty of news. On Monday, Call of Duty came out with its new game. Battlefield ended off the week with its new iteration of its series, which we will talk about later on. May the 4th happened. I don't know if either one of you guys are avid Star Wars fans, but on May the 4th, Titanfall developer Respawn announced that they are making a Star Wars game. Um, Jay, I believe you are the resident Star Wars expert here,
You're
so I'll let
actually
you.
incorrect. You're actually
Oh,
incorrect.
really?
Nate
I am
could
incorrect.
school me. Nate could school me on Star Wars. I just really love it. But yeah, Nate would kick my ass if we got into like a, uh, you know, trivial
Yeah,
game for real.
I know
Well,
a
shit,
lot
Nate.
about Star
Let's
Wars.
let's get into this then. Um, First of all, are either one of you two guys hype about Respawn creating this game?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So the game is made by Respawn, which is the old Infinity Ward of Modern Warfare 1 and 2 fame. And it will also have the former God of War director directing the game. It is
Well,
supposed to be a third person action adventure game. Um, what do you guys think?
I think it sounds awesome. I'm a huge fan of third-person action adventure games, and yeah, that sounds really cool.
What do you guys want to see out of it?
What I want to see, I'd like to see it follow some different characters in the universe. People we've never been introduced to, and just kind of, maybe go see a different part of the universe that we've never seen before. I think that's what I'd like to see.
Can we get a new Force Unleashed? I think the Force Unleashed was amazing back in the day in OA.
Yeah, I did play the first Force Unleashed, and it was pretty good. It wasn't as well polished as I would like a game to be, but it was a really good experience. And if they can mimic that and give us some like big action set pieces like you would find in any of the Uncharted games, I think that would be a really nice touch.
Hell yeah.
Hey,
I
can
definitely
I
agree with
can I ask you guys a question? Being someone who never, I've actually never played a legit Star Wars game. Only Star Wars game I played was like the Lego game. Would it be a good idea for me to, now that I got a PC that's capable to do some gaming on, should I go revisit those games like on Steam? Like
I
what?
I don't know if I can recommend that.
I was gonna say, like, is there any game like Star Wars related that holds up well that I should go play from back in the day?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, that's what everyone tells me.
Yeah, KOTOR
I
is
always
amazing.
had trouble playing those games. Like to warn you, I mean they are great games, and I did try to get into one of them, but it's very much kind of a slow menu-driven RPG experience, and it just didn't work well for me
Is
personally.
that the one that has the creator character and like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
I mean, if you can find the Force Unleashed on Steam, you should definitely get that actually, because that game is awesome. I really, really, really enjoyed that. Actually, I'm looking it up right now,
Yeah,
and it
that
looks like
one
it
might have held
did.
up the best.
You can actually get a digital key for the Star Wars Force Unleashed right now on Steam for 6.90. So I would definitely get that, bro.
Nice. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, that's a really, really good game. I played it on the Xbox as well. Actually, I played it twice on the Xbox and then once on the PlayStation 3 to compare the graphics because I don't know, I'm a nerd. Um, but if they have something that's like The Force Unleashed, where it's kind of a unique story, um, I think that they will succeed. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to relive a Jedi story, or have a story where you can choose to be a Sith or a Jedi. Um, that that Rogue One trailer really showed that you can do some interesting things without having the supernatural abilities that a Sith or a Jedi have. So I'd like to see something more grounded out of this game.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Yeah, as long as there's like a flying section in there, I'll be happy.
No kidding, bro.
Imagine if you could just be a pilot,
Like,
just like play the game as Poe.
I was gonna say, like, I'll even take like a game where you like just go around, planet to planet, salvaging resources and kind of selling them, and like, just something that's like, all about exploration. Like I definitely want to explore the world.
No Man's Sky, but
Oh, yes.
Star
I
Wars
was gonna
style.
say that.
Now
Oh man,
here's a question for Nate. Nate, would you like to see like a more linear Star Wars game, or would you rather see an open world Star Wars game?
I'd rather have a more linear, story-driven experience from a Star Wars game.
What about you, Pedro? Same question.
I tend to agree. Um, but damn, the thought of having an open world game. eh, where are we placing this game? What setting?
The galaxy.
Oh, you just want to do the entire galaxy and go from planet to planet, or you want to do it in a certain planet? Like, I don't think it could be done if we're going from planet to planet. Or done right, I should say. So yeah, I would go a more linear experience.
Yeah, I'm of two minds because like part of me is kind of like, what I want is a really enriching story, but it's kind of like we already have that in the Star Wars movies. So then it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, it'd be really cool to kind of have this open galaxy where I can go explore any part of the galaxy that I want and kind of just like, create my own story, so to speak. So I'm really of two minds, and I really don't know what I would want. But being that it's got who was it? You said the God of War. Who is it? The
Yeah,
writer or developer?
Dig Asmussen is the director.
The director. So that kind of like makes me think it's gonna be linear because that's what the God of War games are. So
God of
yeah.
War also had great action set pieces, so I mean, hopefully they got some quality stuff
Now,
in the works for that.
Nate, do you want to follow the pre-existing characters we already have, or would you like to see some new characters come to light?
I think it would only work well if we use new characters, because everyone's so attached to the characters that we already have. When you have a digital representation of them, you kind of get that uncanny valley thing going. So I would just start with new characters.
Now, what if we saw like a story where your character, whom you've never been introduced to inside that world, kind of saw the characters that we know along the way. Like somehow it was kind of like, you just keep running into some of your familiar characters. Would you like something like that?
Yeah, that might work pretty well. That'd be pretty cool, I guess.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
I think we've hashed this one out pretty nicely here. Just give us something cool, guys. And I think we'd be pretty happy. Uh, from the conversation, I think we're just happy that we're getting a third person action adventure game that isn't something that's like Battlefield or Battlefront, sorry. Um, so I think we'll be happy with whatever they come out with. EA has done a pretty good job with Battlefronts thus far, and they chose a really good developer to work on their next game. So I think it should look good, feel good. Story wise, I mean, you can't go wrong with anything Star Wars wise because they got great lore. So should be nice. Um, Now let's get on to topic number two. This one kind of sneaked under the radar considering, we were celebrating May the 4th, then Cinco de Mayo came up, and we were still knee deep in the middle of a trashing Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. But the NX is rumored to use cartridges. Now, Nate, I know you've in the past mentioned that you would like to see a move back to a cartridge-based console. Could we kind of expound on that? Because I think that at least when I think of cartridges, I think of an underpowered machine. Could we get a machine that's as powerful or more powerful than, let's say, a PlayStation 4 that still uses cartridges?
Yes, and here's how this would work. Now, we're reaching a limit on Blu-ray discs and basically optic discs altogether, and how much information we could store on them, simply because of how lasers work and how the discs work, and the small technical issues of it. Now, on the other hand, flash drives have become infinitely more powerful, and you can get a ton of information on a tiny little fingernail sized card. So to me it makes sense that they would switch to cartridges, because instead of trying to store as much as you can on the disc and then having online updates like you see with a lot of modern games, if we switched to a cartridge system and had basically games that were, just had flash drives in them, is the best way that I can put it. Not only could you adjust what you needed per game, you could have the system would just, run basic, specs or whatever, but you could have games that were more powerful than the system integrated with their own processors in the cartridge to make the games more powerful. And they've done this in the past with the Super Nintendo, and Sega dabbled with it with their 32X add-on system. It's a real way in order to, like, if you had the NX come out and then you wanted to say, like, put The Witcher 3 on there, not only could you do that with a cartridge-based system, you could actually, in theory, like, max out the specs for the game on a particular cartridge. And who knows, we could have, like, two different versions of the game at retail, like a max spec cartridge that has, added functionality within the cartridge for a slightly higher price, versus like a regular cartridge, which would, just run the game as best it could without having all those extra processors in there. And there's one more added advantage to this. You would no longer have to download DLC and updates to your console. The cartridge itself could either have a memory slot on it for added memory, or it would just have enough free memory on it altogether to store the DLC directly to the cartridge. So yeah, I think Nintendo should go back to cartridges. I think that's the direction that games should head in the future altogether, because at this point, it's becoming more practical to put more information on cartridges than it is on optical discs.
Can I jump in here? Like, I got something to
Yeah,
say.
absolutely.
I only want cartridges if I have to take them out and blow on them occasionally to get the game to work.
I can almost guarantee we'll have to go back to doing that.
Um, so for cost wise, I'm reading that it shouldn't cost much more than, a Blu-ray production. So it doesn't look like, games will be more expensive or cheaper if they go this route. It looks like the game prices are going to stay the same, but they'll have all of the advantages that you're stating at the moment. Is there any way that they could make this like a side load console where maybe there's like a hole in the side or whatever, and the cartridge fills in the hole, or is it always going to? Does it always have to be a top loader?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what kind of design choices they come up with. I would personally just prefer a top loading system myself.
I can tell you how it's gonna look. You guys ready?
Yeah.
So you're gonna purchase the game, and being that we've heard that this could be a hybrid console, I'm thinking the cartridge is going to be a larger size cartridge, for the actual console itself, and then for the handheld version, maybe they'll have like a smaller, like game that just is like maybe the size of like an SD card or something that'll go for the controller. That's my little theory. That's my guess.
Hmm. Interesting.
So it would be like a dual cartridge basically.
It'll be very, very interesting to see how they go about this cartridge situation. I'm not. I mean, everything I've read and everything that Nate says kind of checks out. Um, but would the console have internal memory? Does the console would the console even need internal memory if the games just have the memory on the cartridge itself? Does that mean that since we're not going to have to deal with big hard drives, that the price of the console is going to be cheaper because you technically don't have to put, 500 gigs or a terabyte hard drives in the console? Like, I mean, using a cartridge and, actually paying attention to what Nate's saying, and you start thinking about all of these advantages that the NX may have over the Xbox and the PlayStation 4, just based on price of the actual console itself. What do you guys think?
I think it's definitely a possibility the console could launch cheaper than we might expect because of cartridges. And I would expect that they would still put, a healthy amount of memory in the console itself just for
Apps and
download
stuff.
only games, yeah, and stuff like that.
I was gonna say another thing too is like they could be doing something like this because if they were to go with like a Blu-ray, uh, disc, then they would have to pay royalties to Sony, much like Microsoft has to pay royalties to Sony. So it could have something to do with that as well.
That's also a cost that is handed down to the consumer when you think about it.
Yeah,
So that's actually a good point.
yeah.
Well, we'll keep an eye on this consoles issue, and I think it was for the best that they released it on during this week, because we could have had Cartridge Gate, but the story came out on Cinco de Mayo, so you know
But one more
everyone was too busy.
I was gonna say one more thing before we leave this topic. I just wanted to know what you guys thought about. Like, do you think it's kind of cool if they go back to that, cartridge look? Like, maybe even make the cartridge like gray in color and kind of pay amends to like the old school Nintendo cartridge. Do you think that'd be cool? Because I think it would.
Considering the average age of a gamer now in the United States is 38 years old, the average gamer will really appreciate that look, and that homage to the old school, gaming systems that we started playing. Back in the day, I'd say we, like I'm 38 and stuff. But like most of us started playing. I don't think the young kids will care.
I definitely like it. I mean,
All right, that's all I had to say.
All right. Yeah, I think the average gamer will like it. Actually, I think, you know, old school gamers will love the cartridge because they, have fond memories of playing those games. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the biggest story of the week and probably the one that will not go away. Call of Duty opened up the week announcing Infinite Warfare and confirming that Modern Warfare 1 will be remastered and will be available this year only if you purchase the special edition of Call of Duty for $80, which caused the internet to go into an uproar. Um, the trailer, which Jay so graciously reacted to on Monday, uh, has garnered, mm, let's say, tepid
Polarizing.
reviews. Yeah, polarizing reviews so far. Um, Later in the week, Battlefield kind of mocked Call of Duty due to the old style graphics, quote unquote, that they were using. And then yesterday, Battlefield releases a trailer. They confirmed that they're going World War One, and the internet collective trolled Call of Duty with hashtag RIP COD. Jay, take it away.
Yeah, so basically, you just kind of put it all in a nice little pretty package. But yeah, we now know that both games are going to be taking place in two completely different areas. We're going to outer space on Infinite Warfare, and then we're going back to World War I over on Battlefield. And I kind of wanted to get you guys' reaction on which trailer that you enjoyed more. Like, which game looks better to you? So, Pedro, let me throw that question your way first. Like, if you had to buy either game based on what you saw in the trailer, which game would you lean towards?
Um, if you were to tell me right now, hey, I'm giving you $5, go pre-order one of these two first-person shooters based on what I've seen, um, Battlefield. My short answer is Battlefield. I think that the World War One, um, like era really won me over. I think that the new characters that they or not the new characters, but the new character types that you could play as were really intriguing. The Red Baron's in it, so I'm down.
Yeah, Nate, same question. If you had to make a purchase based on the trailer, what'd you go with? I know you're not that big of a shooter guy, but just
Right. Just based on the trailers, I would definitely also go with Battlefield.
okay.
Yeah, I just think they did a better job with the pacing. It was shorter too. It was about half the length of Call of Duties.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, I just liked what I saw more out of the Battlefield, and it seems like the internet is kind of in agreement because over on YouTube, the Call of Duty trailer is sitting at 218,000 likes versus 644,000 dislikes, and Battlefield One it has 535,000 likes and only 10,000 dislikes. So it seems like the internet is responding to Battlefield being the more superior looking game of the two. Um, Pedro, what do you think about you know Call of Duty getting so many dislikes? Because before you answer that, like I read an article and the PR department for Call of Duty responded by saying that Black Ops 2 had one of the highest amount of dislikes on YouTube, but yet it went on to be one of their more success or their most successful game. So, do you think that's going to be the case here, to where we're seeing that negative reaction, but then Call of Duty ends up killing it?
I absolutely think that when both games are out and you compare the sales, I think Battlefield will have a ton of sales, but Call of Duty is going to probably beat it maybe 2-1, honestly, in terms of sales. I think they're going with the correct strategy of of taking the series into a place that it's never been before. Um, the so the thing is that if you look at the trailer and just take it for the 3 minute trailer that it showed a lot but didn't explain any of it. It was very kind of slow. It wasn't paced very well. The ships looked like you were playing Halo, but in a Call of Duty game. Um, and I also think that the reason why the game is getting such flack is because it's not what people want. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we want the remaster of Modern Warfare. We don't want Infinite Warfare. So I think this is more of the internet kind of lashing out and saying, "Give me Modern Warfare, um, separate in a separate download. Don't make me have to pay for Infinite Warfare to play the game that I really want to play." That being said, I think that what Infinity Ward is doing with this new game is very very ambitious and will end up being a game that will pleasantly surprise fans. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be I definitely think it's going to pleasantly surprise Call of Duty fans everywhere.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, it just kind of baffles me that it was Battlefield that actually, went to World War I. I mean, I didn't really think that Call of Duty was going to go to space. You know what I mean? Like, I know it had been rumored that that's what they were working on. And when it comes to setting, Nate, like, would you rather go to space or would you rather go back to World War I and use some of the more old school weapons, or are you more into the futuristic weapon types?
Personally, I would like to go to space, but in this particular instant, at this time, like I've got No Man's Sky coming up, so all the things that I saw in Call of Duty, I'm gonna get in No Man's Sky. So in this particular situation, I'm more interested in the World War I aspect because I do like history and period pieces, and I think it looks really cool because of that.
Yeah,
Well, this is a situation where both games are taking it to places uh, um, that leaves fans asking, how is this going to translate to fun gameplay? How are you going to make space battles fun? How are you going to make trench warfare in World War I fun? How are you going to what gameplay mechanics are you going to use to be able to use a horse in this game? What about the air battles? When you're fighting against the Germans and their factions. Like we saw a blimp up there with guns on the bottom of it. How are they gonna do that? The different tanks that they use. I think that both games leave a lot of questions on the table, man. Both games, you don't know if either one are going to succeed, but like Nate said, Battlefield did a good job of enticing us and making us think that a World War I, era game can work.
yeah, for sure. Like, and then I was trying to find it in this Kotaku article, but the they were saying as far as Infinite Warfare is concerned, and like fans that like their combat to be on the ground. They're like, that's why we remastered, Modern Warfare 4, so you can still have that traditional type of foot on the ground, type
Yeah.
of gameplay. Like, what do you think about that? Like, is that to you? Do you feel like that's a cop out, or do you feel like that's smart marketing? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I said before that I thought it was going to be that it would have been smart marketing for them to include Modern Warfare 1 in the game or with Infinite Warfare because I mean you're taking a huge risk and people want change, but when they get change, they're like, I don't know if I like this. So the thing with the Call of Duty community is that we've been saying for years that it's the same repetitive gameplay, same repetitive setting. Now we're finally in space, and people are like, I don't want zero gravity. I don't know. Can I just be, boots on the ground fighting people on Earth? Like, why? This looks like trash. I don't want to do this. Which is why in my opinion, they had to remaster Modern Warfare to kind of keep those fans coming and kind of entice them to take the risk and buy Infinite Warfare. I don't think it's a cop out at all either, by the way, because I do believe that there are going to be boots on the ground, quote unquote, like fights in Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, here's the official statement. There are people in our community who are nostalgic for boots on the ground style gameplay, and that's why we made Modern Warfare Remastered. But we also have millions of people in our community who want to have new, innovative experiences in the game each year, and Infinite Warfare is going to deliver that. Um, so yeah, that's the official. I paraphrased it a little bit, but yeah, that was the official word by them. So yeah, I don't know. My money's on Battlefield right now. I mean, as we continue to see, more, announcements being made. I mean, E3 is going to be huge, and I think Call of Duty is the game of the two that, it has a lot to prove, and if they can't flip this internet reaction, then I don't know. We may see Battlefield take it this holiday season, but kind of interesting.
I still think it's highly doubtful, man. Like I said, I think this is just a fan base lashing out, kind of saying, "Oh, you gave us the change we wanted, but then you gave us the game we wanted, the remaster we wanted too, and we want that remaster more than we want this change. So just let me get this remaster and don't make me pay $80." That's that's all they're doing. I think that once more gets revealed, you see actual gameplay, you see what they're going for. There should be no reason why people say that Call of Duty is the worst out of the two.
Yeah, one thing that also kind of struck my fancy when I saw this, how do you feel about it being 64 player online over on Battlefield, man? That sounds so awesome.
That is huge.
Because that's something you
But
just
I
could
mean
not pull
that's
off
a
on
lot going
last
on.
gen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shitload going on, dude. And I don't like we were saying before, not on the show, of course, but I prefer Call of Duty because I like that mid to small skirmish, whereas Battlefield has always kind of been that large scale warfare. Um, so I mean, it sounds cool in theory, but that may not be the gameplay that I prefer.
Right. Cool, man.
Um,
Yeah, Call of Duty.
yeah,
Don't have
I
too
think
much of a
we've got
terrible
this
opinion
one.
on anything.
I think we've hashed this one out pretty good. Um, the one thing I will say is one of these games isn't going to get played. I mean, if you decide to buy a first-person shooter this year, one of these games isn't going to get played. We also haven't heard about the new Titanfall yet. That new Titanfall could potentially come out this year. Then you'd have a Titanfall, Call of Duty, and Battlefield fight, and then two of those are going to go into your backlog, and they will probably never see your console because your backlog is ever growing.
Yeah.
Um, and we've mentioned before in past podcasts about should the gaming sector kind of scale back because we've got ever growing backlogs and these games are just getting way too big to finish and experience fully. So that got me to thinking, what are the best games on our backlogs?
Nate, why don't you take it?
All right, let's see. So way back in the day, and then this isn't that far back, but PlayStation 3 era, towards the end of the console cycle, this game came out called El Shaddai, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, but it was released in 2011. It was on PlayStation 3 and 360, and it was directed by Takusu Sawaki, who was he also worked on the Devil May Cry games and Okami, which was another one of my favorite games. So this game is super weird. It's a third-person action platformer, but it's based on the Book of Enoch, which is this crazy story about a scribe who's searching for seven fallen angels to prevent a flood from destroying mankind. But the graphics in the game are just super surreal, and it gives this very dreamlike, ethereal kind of vibe. And everything is just ultra stylized and kind of has a cel-shaded look to it. It's one of those games that's just visually amazing, and I really wanted to play it, but unfortunately, my PlayStation 3 suffered the same fate as a lot of Xboxes did, and I had my fan go out in it twice, and after the second time, I just did not get another one. So it was one of the games that I missed out on playing, and I really, really wish I could have got to play it then, because I don't know how I'm going to get to it now. So
Interesting. Um, Jay, what's one of your games?
I'd say the number one right off the bat, pretty obvious one. The Witcher 3. I mean, that's a game that definitely looked really, really solid to me. I mean, it was 2015's Game of the Year. Um, like, it just intimidated me, man. Like the size and scale of it. I've said it in past podcasts that you could easily dump 200 hours into the game before you even touch the DLC. And the DLC is amazing. So that's one of the ones where it was like, I was playing. What the heck was I playing? I think I was still, deeply embedded in the Destiny world at the time, and yeah, Witcher 3 is my number one game that is in my backlog. That, I always say, I'm gonna get to it, but the video game industry now, it's doing such a great job of putting great games out at a regular pace. And I mean, that's now why I only have one console to worry about. Like when NX comes out, and VR comes out, we're gonna have all these other ways to play video games. So it's like I kind of fear what the future looks like in terms of missing out on big games. But yeah, I definitely say Witcher 3 was the game that, has escaped me. My number one game, anyway.
Nice. Um, Mine, I'm gonna take it back all the way to my childhood, and I think this is one of the greatest games of all time, and it's the original Legend of Zelda for Nintendo. Um, I could never play the. I own the game, but I could never play it because I was too scared of it. The music, the dungeons were super dark. The sounds of the rats when they ran by just scared the Jesus out of me when I was like a 4 year old child. So when the game was being played by my brother, I would just sit there and just, I don't know, shake in fear of this Zelda game. Um, and whenever I got the controller, I would just freeze and then just start crying. So I never got an opportunity to experience one of the greatest games of all time. And that is probably the best game on my backlog.
Yeah.
I have played both the games that are on your guys' backlog. Pedro, to be honest with you, you're really not missing much there, but Jay, you're missing everything by not playing Witcher 3.
Oh, I know.
Uh,
I
Really?
know.
You don't think you don't think that Zelda is
Zelda,
in that conversation, or is it the second Zelda that you would enjoy more?
there is no doubt that the original Zelda transformed the game, genre as a whole, but it only really works nowadays on nostalgic value. It's really hard with fresh eyes to go back and pick up that game and get the same experience that someone who had played the game at the time did. Uh, I mean, Zelda Ocarina of Time holds up way better than the original Zelda does, and I would consider it more a rite of passage to have played the original Zelda than to like actually play it and like really enjoy it, I guess.
I did end up finishing Ocarina of Time for the 64 though. So I have played that. I just never, I was older, and then I realized crying over a video game was just, something you probably shouldn't do, especially since it's not as scary as some of the other ones, like, let's say a Resident Evil or uh, anything of that sort. So,
Now I can understand like to be like 4 or 5 and to try to play that game. I can see that being very intimidating.
are there any other games that you guys would like to mention?
Yeah, I was gonna say some honorable mentions for me would be Shadows of Mordor. That's a game that I'm definitely gonna make sure I check off the list like here soon because I heard it's only about a 60-hour game, and I heard the Nemesis system in it is really dope, and I want to check that out. Um, Another game, since I'm really big into the horror genre would be The Evil Within. I always wanted to check that game out. I kind of missed it, so I want to go back and play that one. That's all that's coming to mind right off the bat. What about you, Nate? What else do you got on the list?
Recently, there's been 2 big games that I wanted to play. Bravely Second, I'm not going to get around to for quite some time, but I do still plan on playing it. And also, Far Cry Primal is another game that I wanted to play that came out recently that I hadn't had a chance to get to.
Yeah, pretty dope game. I played that one.
Uh, for me, Ori and the Blind Forest. Um,
Oh yeah.
the the new Mario Kart, Super Mario Maker, Little Big Planet. I mean, I can go on and on. Um, yeah, but for me, I think Ori and the Blind Forest is one that I probably should have gotten to last year. On the topic of your Shadow of Mordor game, by the way, oh my God, that game. Uh, that game should be revolutionary when we look back on this era of games because of the Nemesis system, but there aren't enough games right now using it, so it might be a game that's ahead of its time.
Yeah, that's pretty much kind of what I hear everyone say.
Yeah, so, anything else when it comes to our backlogs?
I'm sure there's a few more in there, but I think I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, me too.
No,
You, Jay?
I was gonna say no. We didn't run that long, so I had a cool idea to close the show. If you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
All right. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to play a game. I'm sure we've all heard of 20 questions, where you have 20 questions, to think of something that I'm thinking of, and see if we can all, come together and figure out. So there's a game that I'm thinking of, and Nate and Pedro, you guys have 20 questions to try and figure out what the game is. So just to give you guys some tips, you're trying to narrow, genre, console, that type of thing. So you guys down for that?
Down.
All right.
All right. So go ahead, guys. You have 20 questions to figure out the game.
And we'll just alternate between the 2 of us, right?
However you want to do it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that'll
just,
work.
okay. So
You
is
can go
it
first.
okay, is it a third person action title?
Negative.
Is it a PlayStation exclusive?
Negative.
Is it a first person shooter?
Yep.
Did it release on PC originally?
Negative.
Okay.
Does it have multiple playable characters?
Uh, no.
Is it on more than one console?
Yes.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah. Kind of, I guess would be the way to say it. Originally on one console, but you may or may not have seen it pop back on another console at a later date. A little hint there.
Mm, 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 mm.
Whose guess is it? Is it mine or is it?
It's yours.
It's mine. Does it have anything to do with zombies?
Negative.
Dang
Surprisingly.
it. Okay. I thought
What
I knew what
question
I
are we
was
on?
saying.
That's 6 questions.
Okay. Is it set in the United States?
Uh, I don't believe so. No, it's not.
Okay.
Uh, is it set in the past?
Um, yeah, but not like a far past.
Hmm.
That's seven
Was
questions.
this on Infinity Ward game?
Negative.
Uh, dang.
So to give you guys some hints, you have not figured out console. You have figured out genre. Um, you haven't figured out like when the game came out. So those are things you might want to zero
Okay.
zero in on.
Okay. So we know it's a first-person shooter. It's got one character. It's set in the recent past. It's been on maybe multiple consoles. So is it on PlayStation 4?
Negative.
Okay.
Did the game come out before 2010?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it was on PlayStation 3.
Negative.
Ah, damn it.
It's a first-person shooter.
That's 10 questions. You're halfway home.
Was it on the 360?
Negative.
Oh, 360. Okay.
So was it on the Nintendo Wii?
No.
We're running
Did
out
the
of
game
consoles.
come out uh, after 2000?
Nope. Still earlier.
Wow.
Super early.
Okay, so PlayStation 2 game.
Nope.
Dang it. Just want to know what console it's on.
Bro, is this shit? Is it? God damn it.
All right, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help
I
you
think I
guys
know what
out.
it is,
Oh, okay.
but I don't. I don't want to say it because, like, then it's my guess. Oh man. Was it on the original PlayStation?
Nope.
All right, original Xbox.
Nope. 5 more questions.
A
I'm
first-person shooter that wasn't on any of the main consoles.
I'm gonna
That's
go ahead.
fucking wild, bro.
You guys only got 5 more questions, so I'm gonna tell you the console. Otherwise, you'll never get it. I don't think N64 is the console.
Oh man, we would have to go way back to, to get that one. Okay, that does help narrow it down.
Dude, I think I got it.
Maybe
Fuck.
you want to try to zero in on it before guessing.
I don't. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this thing, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Uh, does it have a D in the name?
Yeah,
Is
technically it
there?
does. Yes, it does.
Does
Technically,
it?
it has a D in the name.
Yeah, there is a D in the name.
Okay,
God damn.
Is the main character female?
Nope. All right. Four more questions. So think about what you got right now. It's on the N64. It's a first-person shooter.
Is
Before
it a
two, two.
license game?
Yes, it is.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm gonna use my guess. I'm gonna use my guess, man.
Go
Is
ahead.
it is it GoldenEye 007?
That it is.
Yeah.
Go,
Because I was like, oh no, yes, I got it, but I was like, no, let me not.
like I wanted it to be somewhat obvious, but not too obvious. So I'm like, you guys know that I'm into shooters. I wanted to think of a shooter from back in the day that kind of like was like a kind of definitive starting place for first person shooters like multiplayer. So yeah, Rare developed it for Nintendo. It was originally released August 25th, 1997. It's a first person stealth shooter. Um, so yeah, I think everyone's favorite weapon in that game was the Golden Eagle because you could.
Yeah,
It was a handgun that you could freaking snipe with.
pretty OP.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. There you have it.
Damn, man, I totally thought you were gonna go with something obscure like Homefront.
Nah, I wouldn't do anything like that. I always wanted to be somewhat obvious with them at first until we get better at it.
Oh, okay, because I was like, dude, I know he played Homefront and actually liked it. It's probably Homefront. That's the first one I thought of when we were gonna play this game. I was like, all right. Was not expecting it to be GoldenEye.
Yeah. But I just thought that'd be something fun to kind of try out.
Shit, that was actually kind of dope. And I think with that, guys, we have reached the end game. Any closing words for the people here?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Indie Namicon. It's a little indie developer like get together that happens in Orlando the first Thursday of every month. Pedro and myself went last night. We got to see some really rad games that were in development. We're trying to get the word out. We're trying to make Orlando the hub for gaming as it should be. So yeah, check them out. Pedro, where can we find Indie Namicon?
On Facebook, Indie Namicon on Instagram, as well as IndieNamicon.com, or you could go to meetup.com/Indie Namicon for more information. We actually saw this super dope um, Game Boy like game that should be hitting Steam Greenlight soon. So look for Maya Rama. Um, on Steam Greenlight within the next few months. It's very, very cool. Guy built it in about 4 months, but he just wanted to create a game that was like his, favorite childhood Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, but that's all I have. What about you, Nate?
Maybe I should go see Captain America Civil War sometime this weekend. I don't
A-
know. We'll see.
absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. You should definitely watch that movie. Uh, Jay and I saw it last night, and I've seen both Batman versus Superman and Captain America Civil War. And Captain America Civil War is definitely the one to watch when it comes to superhero movies. That is until Suicide Squad comes out, and I have high hopes for that one. So
As do I.
sweet. Anybody else have anything?
Not anything from you, Pedro?
Yeah, as always, visit us on facebook.com/extremely decent games. Join our group. We're always talking about, the latest and greatest in the video game community. Like and subscribe on YouTube and hit us up on Twitter. We want to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
Twitter is extremely decent games, all one word.
yeah.
Yeah, and over on the Facebook group, we're trying to be very active with the members of the group while we're small. So if you go over there, we're going to start doing weekly polls starting next week where I'm going to ask a question, we're going to take a poll, and then if you have any comments on it, we will share that on the next podcast. So yeah, if you want your voice heard, go join us. It's facebook.com/groups extremely decent games. So yeah, that's it.
Sweet.